So at last we have a topic of virtual destructors. In order to understand this topic, let us have an example. So here I am creating the base class base, and in the public section let's create a constructor, and it will print something, suppose base constructor. Okay, and then also create a destructor, and here we print base destructor. Okay, and this is all. Then we create a derived class derived public base. Here also in the public section let's create a constructor first. Cout derived constructor. Okay, and let's have destructor now. Here let us print derived destructor. Okay, now in the main let us create a derived class object D and then return 0. You might remember such kind of program, and we saw in the chapter of constructors and destructors and inheritance that what is the order of execution of constructors and destructors. So I think you might guess the output of this program. So let us see whether your guess is okay or not. vf6.cpp, let's save it. Okay, so the order of execution of constructors is in the order of derivation, and order of execution of destructors in the reverse order of derivation. So base constructor, then derived constructor, then derived destructor and base destructor. Okay, so this was just a recap of the concept. Okay, now let us create a base class pointer BP. Okay, and now this base class pointer is pointing to this derived object, right? Now what happens? Let's run it. Oh, sorry. This is pointing to, it means it will contain the address of D, right? Okay, so base pointer contains the address of the derived object. Let us run it. Okay, so still it is working fine. So first base class constructor is executed, then derived class constructor is executed, then derived class destructor is executed, then base class destructor is executed. Okay, so now let us make another modification to this. Let us use a keyword delete. This delete keyword is used to free the memory which has been allocated to some object. Okay, so what I want to delete? I want to delete this derived object. So delete, and I write now BP, where BP is a pointer to this derived class. So BP contains the address of D object. So it knows where D is there in the memory. So when we provide the address of D to delete operation, then it will free that memory. Okay, so let us run it. So what is the output? Base constructor, derived constructor, then base destructor, derived destructor, base destructor. So it is giving us a weird kind of output. Okay, so it means that this call is not executing properly. Okay, so what we want, that we want the derived class to be destroyed. Okay, but what here it is doing, let us write something here. Let us say before exiting, to analyze that output more clearly. Okay, so let us again run it. Yeah, so base class constructor will be executed first. Okay, when you create this derived D object, then base class constructor will be executed first, and then the derived class constructor will be executed. Okay, so then we create a base class pointer and we assign the address of D to this pointer. Then we call delete BP. Okay, so what it is doing, it is meant to destroy the destructor of derived class. It is meant to call the destructor of derived class. Why? Because we want to destroy this derived class. Okay, but what it is showing, it is showing base destructor. Okay, so what is happening is, instead of destroying the derived class object, it is destroying the base class object. We do not want that. Okay, so also before exiting, it is again it is destroying derived destructor and again destroying the base destructor. But it has already destroyed the base destructor. It has already destroyed the base class. Why it is again printing base destructor? It is printing the same thing 2 times. Because let us look at it again more carefully. First, D object is created. D is a derived object. Okay, so when you create a derived class object, the constructors are executed starting from the base class to that derived class. So that is why base constructor, derived constructor, this is printed. Okay, and when this thing happens, you assign this base pointer the address of that derived object D. Okay, after that you say delete BP. It means this BP is the address of the memory which you want to delete. What is the memory which you want to delete? I want to delete this D object, and BP contains the address of D object. Therefore, I am writing delete BP. Okay, so what I am expecting? I am expecting that this derived object D will be destroyed. Okay, so what should be printed? Derived destructor should be printed. But what it is printing? It is printing base destructor. So does it mean that it is destroying the base object instead of destroying the derived object? No, it does not mean that. It means that it is destroying the derived part of this base object. Okay, instead of completely destroying the base object, it is only destroying the derived part of the base object. Okay, and then we print before exiting, and when we exit, before exiting, all the memory will be freed automatically. So all the constructors will be executed automatically, and all the destructors will be executed automatically. and the destructors are executed in the reverse order of derivation. That is, first the derived destructor will be executed and then the base destructor will destroy the remaining part of base object, right? So we want that when we call delete BP, instead of destroying the derived part of base object, it should destroy the derived object completely. So how to do that? That can be done by making this destructor virtual. Okay, so when the destructor is made virtual, you make a call to delete this object D through the pointer. Okay, so now only this then the destructor which is there in this derived class, that will be executed. Okay, so let us see again what happens. Now it is giving us that we are first constructing the base, then we are constructing the derived constructor. Okay, then we are constructing the derived object, and then we are destroying the derived object through this call BP, and after that we are destroying the base destructor. Okay, so this is how the things takes place when you use a virtual destructor, right?